learning a tune called Lazy John. This is one of those few fiddle tunes that also has lyrics, so you can sing along if you want to. I'm just going to be focusing on the fiddle part in this lesson. This is a beginning fiddle tune, so if you are in the first Suzuki book or the first American Fiddle Method book, this is at about that pace. That should feel pretty comfortable to you. I'm going to be teaching the tune mainly by ear, going through it phrase by phrase with a lot of review, but I'm also providing on-screen sheet music, so that if you prefer to read, you have that option. If you'd like the complete sheet music, along with lesson notes and practice tracks that you can practice along with, just click on the link in the description and I'll send that on over. If you have any questions or would like to book a lesson, either online or in person, you can find me at ericonfiddle.com. That's ERIC on fiddle.com, and we can set something up. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Bye. So we're going to start the tune off with a 3-note pickup phrase. It's going to start with an up bow on the D, then it's going to be a quick little D1, D3. 1, 3. Let's play that together. Again, sort of choppy bow strokes, kind of in the middle of the bow. One more time together. And that brings us to measure 1. So we're going to start measure 1 with a long open A. This is going to be 2 beats. It's a half note on a down bow. And then A1, open A, D3. Again, that's a long open A, 2 beats, 1, O, D3. So let's practice that together, just that measure. One more time. Again. Now let's put it together with the pickup notes. We have and remember to start the pickup notes on an up bow. A little bit unusual. Usually we start a tune with the down bow, but here we're going to start on the up bow. So let's practice that together. Again. One more time. And that brings us to measure 2. We have another long note. This is an A1. And then 3 short notes, starting on an up bow. O, 1, 3. So again, that's A1, D, O, 1, 3. Now let's play that together. One more time. That brings us to measure 3. We have an open A, A1, and again 3 short choppy notes. So open A, A1, open A, D3, D1. Now let's play that together. Again. And that brings us to measure 4, last measure of this line. So we have another long note, another half note on an open D, then a short one, O, 1, 3, all on the D string, O, 1, 3. Let's practice that together. Again. One more time. Now let's review it from the top, from our pickup notes. On an up bow, again, on an up bow, one more time. That brings us to measure 5, first measure of the second line. We have another long open note. This is an open A on an up bow, and then A1, open A, D3. A, 1, O, D3. A, 1, O, D3. So let's practice that together. On an up bow. Again, remember, on an up bow. One more time. And again, up bow. Next measure, measure 6. We have a long A1, a B note, and then over to the D string, O1-3. So let's do that together. We have A1, D, O1-3. One more time. Measure 7. We have an open A again, on an up bow, A1, open A again, D3, D1. So it's A1, A, D3, 1. And remember to start on an up bow. Let's practice that together. Again. One more time. And again. That brings us to measure 8, the last measure of this line. D3 on a down bow. That's a half note, so we're holding it for 2 beats. Then D3 over to the A, 1, 3. And that's setting us up for the B part, so which we'll cover in a minute. So D3, D1, 3. Both those last notes on the A. Again, that's D3, D3, A1, A3. Let's practice that together. Again. One more time. Again. Now let's review that whole line from measure 5 to where we just stopped. So here we have again, starting on an up bow. One more time. let's review the whole A part. That's the first two lines of the tune. From the pickup notes to measure 8, where we just left off. So, from the beginning. Review one more time, starting on an up bow. And that brings us to the B section. So we're going to start on a down bow with a half note on the E. This is 2 beats. And then a short little phrase again, like we've seen before. 2 8th notes followed by a quarter. Open E, A3, A1. Again. A3, A1. So try that together. Again. One more time. That takes us to measure 10. We have an open A, another long note, 2 beats. Then on an up bow, O1, 3. Do that together. Again. One more time. Measure 11. Here we have an open A, A1, open A, and then a D3, followed by a D1. A1, D3, D1. Let's play that together, starting on a down bow. One more time. Again. One more time. Should have left off on a down bow. And that takes us to measure 12, the end of that line, the third line. So we start off D3, half note again, 2 beats. And then 3, A1, A3. That's on an up bow, D3, another short one, A1, A3. So let's play that together. Again. Now let's review the third line together, from measure 9 to where we just left off. Again. Now just take a quick check, make sure that you're ending that phrase on a down bow. Start again on a down bow. last line, measure 13. We're going to start with an open E, another half note, 2 beats. Another E, A3, A1. That's E, E, A3, A1. Let's play that together. Again. One more time. And again. Measure 14. We have another long note, another long open note, I should say. We have an open A, 2 beats, followed by on a down bow, open D, 1, 3. A, D, 1, 3. Now let's play that together. Again. One more time. Next measure, measure 15. So we have, in this measure, we have an open A on an up bow, then another A, A1, open, D3, D1, D2. So that's an open A, followed by this little eighth note run, open, 1, open, D3, D1, D2. So starting on an up bow, it sounds like this. Now I would recommend trying to play this whole phrase in the middle third of the bow. You'll often see with beginning fiddle and violin students that the teacher will put tape in this middle zone to help you sort of keep track of where that is while you're bowing. That's sort of the sweet spot for a lot of this short, choppy stuff. So let's practice playing that together and really using as little bow as you can. Sort of challenge yourself, especially on those eighth notes, to using as little bow as possible without it sounding too sort of clipped and choppy. So starting on an up bow. Again. One more time. And that brings us to the last measure. And this is easy. This is just a long whole note. The whole measure, 4 beats. D3. I don't think we need to review that one. So let's go ahead and review the last line of the tune, starting from measure 13 to the end. Again, starting on an up bow. One more time. And again. Okay, let's review the whole B section from measure 9 until the end. One more time from measure 9. play the whole tune from the top. Now, if you don't feel like you've got the whole tune mastered at this point, that's about to be expected. Especially if you're just starting out. So feel free to rewind any section of this tape. Remember, rewinding is free. So and go back over any part that you feel needs a little bit more work. That's sort of the beauty of working from video, is that you can easily do that. With enough repetition, I think you'll find that this tune will just sort of roll off the fingers eventually. It's kind of it's a really simple, nice melody, and one that I think sticks in your head. And hopefully it's one that you'll enjoy. So thanks for watching. So once you've mastered the basic melody, there are a few things that we can do to this tune to give it a more old-time fiddle sound. And that's to use what we call open drones. It's a technique that I often call droning below. So it's simply playing the note that you were playing as written, but also grabbing the open string, that's the string that you're not fingering, below it. So let me demonstrate. So we have, this is the plain single note melody that we learned. If we were to drone below, we would we would do nothing different with our left hand, but instead of bowing one string, we bow two. We bow the D and the G string below it. And then when it's time to play that A note, we switch to the DA string playing. And when we're grabbing that G, we're back to the GD string playing. So you kind of have to get used to finding a different balance point for the bow. That's probably the biggest challenge when you start playing open drones and droning below like this, or just playing any double stops, period. What you want to do is find the natural resting point. You'll notice I've already used this term once, and I haven't explained it yet, but it's string planes. As you might have noticed, the bridge, this is the bridge, it's cut so that there are 3 flat spots on it where the bow will rest easily on 2 strings. The GD string plane, the DA string plane, and the AE string plane. So what we want to do is let the bow rest naturally on that string plane without pushing down on it. Just about everybody, when they start playing double stops, makes this mistake. They keep the bow balanced about where it is. It's almost like a teeter-totter with both sides equally off the ground when they play the way they do when they play single note melodies. And then to play a double stop, they simply push down on the note until they're bowing 2 strings. But you can hear already what happens when you do that. You tend to get that crunchy bow sound, and it kind of kills the tone. So what you want to do is tip the bow over, in this case, to the GD string plane, so that you can bow both notes without bow pressure, without pushing down on the bow, or pushing minimally down on the bow. So idea. Droning below will get you through most of that tune. There are certain points where doing that sounds maybe a little bit funny or a little bit awkward. I think it kind of sounds cool too, but when we come to the, for instance, the beginning of the B section, you know, a more natural choice for that might be sliding into the fourth finger to double that E. Another very common fiddle technique that old time and bluegrass fiddle players use. So what I'm doing here is I'm simply doubling that open string note with a fourth finger on my A string. And you can, you know, you don't have to slide from too far below. It's maybe a half step slide, so would do just fine. This takes a little bit of practice because the fourth finger is pretty weak and not so coordinated. It's something that I'm sure if you've been playing fiddle for any length of time, you'll have noticed. The fourth finger is kind of the problem child. Here we come to measure 10. We can do this again. This time on the A string, doubling it with a fourth finger below. Then we can go back to droning double stops. And notice how I played those eighth note phrases following our four finger slides. I played those single note. Just to give the ear a little bit of a break from the double stops. So this is, you know, this is kind of the way that most fiddle players approach playing double stops and fourth finger slides. You're always sort of striking a balance between that nice big double stop sound and the sort of faster, more you know, spry sounding phrases of single notes. It's always good to find a balance because a whole tune of double stops will sound kind of too heavy. It doesn't hit the ear quite right. So try to create some contrast. So from the top. And finally, I'll leave you with one little bit of advice too. Using what I call the fake fourth finger slide, which I used in that last version. So rather than playing, for instance, when we go to that E, holding the double stop, by the time I slide up to that E on the A string, I pivot the bow over to tip it toward the E string. That sounds a little bit cleaner than holding the note, holding both notes, holding a double stop. It also buys you a little forgiveness if you're not quite, you know, if you don't quite hit the note perfectly in tune. It'll buy you a little bit of forgiveness. So remember the fake fourth finger slide. So you're starting off on a double stop, but you're ending on a single note. And the single note will always be the open string. That's the higher of the two pairs of, or two strings. So anyway, have fun with that.